All right, let's move on to this hilarious story. I know I left you guys hanging, but the more I learn about Zelensky, the more he makes me laugh, and the more of a clown and a puppet I realize he is. But he said, this is from Samuel Ramani. Oops, I got to reshare my screen here. Who said, breaking, Zelensky says that elections can be held in Ukraine if the West provides financial support. So Max Blumenthal says the best democracy the West can buy. So despite the billions of dollars Biden has dumped into Ukraine, Zelensky is constantly asking for more weapons, more funding, more NATO involvement, period. NATO getting directly involved might be the only thing that could save Zelensky at this point. I don't know. We'll see once the special military operation is over, what Russia decides to do with him. But I mean, this is just hilarious. Like, we're talking, the U.S. is talking about Ukraine as this sovereign democracy, and they're not holding elections. And they face some criticism even from liberal sources for that. And Zelensky goes, well, if you pay me, if you give me more than the $750 billion you've already given me or whatever it is, then maybe I'll hold elections. It's so comical. The best democracy the West can buy. I don't know what else to say other than that.
Yeah, and I mean it's so contradictory. Everything is so filled with contradictions, and I think that's what makes it so easy to open some people's eyes whose objective interest doesn't lie in perpetuating these sorts of things because they're profiting from them. But on one side, they tell you, hey, we're in this to defend Ukraine, which is a good old Western liberal democracy, against a Russian authoritarian government ran by a lunatic. Um, and then you see that's going on. You see the repression of unions, the repression of communist and leftist and socialist parties, all the repression of ethnic Russian people,
Media outlets.
and media outlets. The assassination of journalists and people, the fucking kill list that they're putting people on, where they cross them off when they're killed. And you see all of this, having Nazis in their within their ranks, their military ranks, having Nazis play a central role in the direction of. You see all of this, and it's like, where is the democracy? And this is just one more factor in the spectacle of this whole affair, which is that, yeah, we'll do elections if you give us some money. It's like it's absurd, but the American people are not stupid. I think if you bring the facts up to them, a lot of them will see how absurd this narrative is and how fundamentally against their interest it is.
Absolutely. It shows that imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism, because this war in Ukraine that we're dumping all our money into is tied to what's going on at home. People's economic conditions are getting worse and worse, and they're watching Biden dump billions and billions of dollars into this proxy war in Ukraine, and they're thinking, what the hell? Why can't we invest that money at home? And the answer is, of course, capitalism and the U.S. trying to maintain global dominance and stop an alternative economic bloc from rising up. But yeah, it's really showing the contradictions of our system. It's making it obvious, and it's clear that the Democratic Party elites, folks like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, they really do think working people are stupid. They think they're a basket of deplorables, or people who can be controlled. And now the public is majority against the war in Ukraine. Public opinion is shifting against them. It's becoming harder and harder for them to pull the wool over the eyes of every single American, which is why you see them cracking down on social media, cracking down on what they call misinformation, which is really accurate information. It's why 7 of our TikTok accounts have been banned, but it doesn't matter. The truth will win out, and the people of this country aren't stupid. They're not, and they're waking up more and more every single day. So
That's beautifully said. Mary's here with a really good comment. Ukraine has an anti-labor union law, which is almost word for word the same as Mussolini's labor law in 1927 fascist Italy, confiscating all union property. Utterly horrendous. Yes, absolutely. I mean, Ukraine is a fascist state. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, their national, the person who they've propped up as their national leader, Stepan Bandera, was a literal Nazi. who, who certain German Nazi officials thought he went overboard in some of his activities. Like, you can't make this up. And these are the people that are being propped up as waging the good fight on the side of democracies. In many ways, there is some truth to that. What we have come to know as democracy in the West is something that has always bared with it the potential for fascism. Fascism has always been there. And it comes out in certain historical moments when capital's rates of profit are falling, unions are getting stronger, and it's more difficult to secure that bottom line profit. Um, but it's always there. And I mean, we were talking earlier about we had our fascism in the U.S. In the South with the counter-revolution property after 1876. It's always been a central structural component of capitalism because fascism is fundamentally the most reactionary terroristic element of finance capital, coming out to repress any movement that smells like the advancement of workers' rights and the advancement of democracy and worker power in a way that antagonizes itself against capital. It's always been there. It's really just the coercive and repressive apparatuses of the state coming out when they have to come.
I mean, speaking of Ukrainian fascism and their union laws, how did the coup begin in Ukraine, or what was the major events of the coup? It was the burning alive of trade unionists in Odessa. What was one of the main things that the stormtroopers or the brown shirts were doing in Mussolini's Italy or during Hitler's rise to power in Germany? Killing trade unionists, going and beating them up, killing leaders of the working class, killing communist leaders. I mean, the parallels are right there for anyone to see. You really have to bury your head in the sand at this point to avoid seeing the the plague of fascism that's taken over Ukraine.